Hello and welcome to Favorite Cheese.
Hello.
We're filming on a beautiful Memorial Day, and we're filming later than we normally have ever.
In terms of the crank out date.
In terms of the crank out date.
Yeah, we're pushing it to the edge.
We are. But we are because we went to Chicago this weekend. Chimcongo, as Frankenstein calls it. We went to Chicago to see Delman's younger sister graduate with her doctorate degree in occupational therapy.
So now she's demanding we all call her Dr. Ray Ray.
Oh, yeah, which I think Dr. Delman might be a little bit better, but she wants Dr. Ray Ray. So, you know what? We're just going to do that for her. Yeah. That's okay. We can handle that.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, it was a very short little trip, but it was nice and fun and filled with beer. Yeah. So much beer. Yeah. I even put on my Instagram, I was like, I'm hitting a beer wall. Like, I am definitely.
But it's the Midwest.
Okay, that's fair. You said that the Midwest is the highest. They drink
a lot. And, Wisconsin technically.
Okay.
Per person, they ingest the most amount of alcohol regularly is Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah. And then under that, it's all kind of around the Midwest area. But they... they drink and that's part of their culture, and I had a great time. So I was like, should I move
this
here?
This is great. I gotta live here. And I was like, I need a water and a salad.
Yeah.
I'd live for just a salad.
Well, we were going hard. We were having Chicago ducks. We're having pizzas. We're having heavy foods, Chinese. You never heard of the Chicago chicken salad? You never heard of that. So
no, you did. It's just full of mayo. It's full of mayo.
They got a good mayo game.
They have a hard mayo game out there. No, it was great. It was nice. It was very lovely. It was very it was a big group. It was us and your parents and then your aunt.
It was my family, obviously, because my sister. So my parents, you, me, and my aunt, who's my mom's sister.
Yeah.
And I'll just hop right in a little bit. My not camembert, my fondue is that, I had a really good time. And in the past, one of my biggest problems has been, not only just traveling with some people. When you're in a group, it can be hard. And we've traveled a lot, and I've traveled solo, which is the best for no plans, but the worst for sharing moments. Because it's like, hey, look at...
Oh, no one's here to watch the Eiffel Tower with me.
Exactly. Yeah. But you and I are good because we're on the same page. And so we can just, do whatever.
We get up and go a lot.
And then we have, a group that we found. And kind of when you find your group, that's your group. Yeah. But even in the past, I've traveled with my sister and her friend before, and it's if there's one awkward thing,
if one singular dynamic is off in any way,
there is potential for awkwardness, because of no one stepping up and taking the lead, or the minute someone does step up and take the lead, it's why are they taking the lead? And then it just becomes into a tiny Succession episode where behind closed doors, it's do you really want to be
She's being very bossy and no one wants Chinese food.
I can hear you. Yeah, that's because the Airbnb is so small because you booked
so small. And we have one bathroom. Who has only one bathroom? Yeah, it really can turn into madness.
Yeah, but
it's racked with a ton of indecision, or it's someone's a boss the whole time, and
it's we don't want to do this. Yeah. Who said we wanted to do this?
Yeah, that's always my favorite of this. All right, yeah.
So and also it was complicated too because it was my birthday as well as my sister graduating.
Yeah.
So there was a lot, and last year when we did this, it was really fun as well, but it was way more stressful, and I got COVID, and so
that's real.
So that was kind of this weird. And then the last time I traveled with my parents to Colorado, I died in the hotel room. So I don't know if it's
really there's a curse.
It's my body, our minds are so strong, the manifesting thing, that my body's just manifesting illness to not have to.
We know you're going to be stressed, and this is going to be hell for you. Yeah. You should be dying too.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to make sure you don't get there. No, but
when you get there, you're going to be in hell, honey.
But just through even, I've had such a strange few this year. This year has been strange in the sense that coming out of the COVID thing, you really want in my mind, I was okay, I was really good for 2.5 years. Now's my time to shine. Yeah. And then it's and we've already talked about this before, but it's just okay, one more hurdle, whatever. So I've been kind of going through some, whatever anxieties.
Sure.
But with the help of my therapy and just like thinking and speaking up for myself and whatever, I feel like this was a good trip because we were able to set boundaries without, like, the hardest part about setting a boundary is like the communication of like,
it's like the first step of setting it, honestly, right?
Yeah, well, it's either like you just set it up in the beginning, but there's a grace to it because if you just go up and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go on a walk by myself, and
I don't
want to
do this anymore.
I'm setting a boundary. They're like, dude, what the like, that was really aggressive. Like, but if you're like, and then if you do this, because I've tried all the strategies, or like if I'm with your family and I'm like, I need to go on a walk for my mental health. They're like, is he okay? Is he gonna? Do we need to send someone to watch him?
They're like, does someone need to come with him? And I'm like, no, he wants to be alone.
I just need to breathe and like look at things.
Yeah, man.
And not talk about things all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's how it is when you like. It was so funny. Because there are things like my parents. They wake up at like 5 a.m., which good on them, and that's in California. So in Chicago, they're still waking up at 5 a.m., which is like 3 a.m. And I'm just like laying there trying to sleep. And my mom, I love her to death, but I don't know if she doesn't know how to like stir the milk in her coffee without just janking. Like
it feels like she's
ding,
like
ding, ding,
calling cattle in for dinner. It's literally like clink, 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 clink. And you're like, why?
So I'm like laying there and I'm like it's almost like they're mad that we're sleeping in. It's like
that's what I think. It's like weird passive aggressive clanking where it's like
not.
That door is why is it closing the loudest slams of doors, and then also the like noises.
It's just being around other people.
Yeah,
and when you have different schedules, it's hard. And so it's hard to make everyone's schedule work. But I will say that we made it work, and it was a really nice dynamic. But the thing that I'm like kind of the most fondue about is my aunt coming along with us. Like I like, without getting into too much of her business, like we were really close growing up. I mean, my mom was raised on a dairy farm, so like we would constantly go over there. And there's like, as a kid on a dairy farm, I mean, like it sucks that it doesn't exist anymore. It long story short, it isn't in business anymore, but like it was until I was in high school. So I would go ride horses, help my grandpa with the cows.
Like that dream little childhood.
Yeah, like we had dirt bike tracks in the back. We had a pool. Like it was amazing, right? And my aunt and my mom grew up on this, and hearing their stories, because they bring the best out of each other. And life happens where it's like we're focused on other things, and I see her here and there, but like to actually spend like a lot of time with her, and to spend time with her and my mom, because they get funny
rowdy.
to get rowdy together. Rowdy. It's really fun, and hearing their crazy stories about how like my mom and my aunt would like ride their horses to the movie theater.
Yes. And they're like, yeah, we just leave the horse outside. And you're like, what?
What year was it?
And they're like, not long. And you're like, why did no one steal your horse?
Yeah. And then just all their crazy farm stories and all the other, like, remember that time like we broke your arm but didn't want to tell mom? So, just like these crazy.
You're broken. And they're like, good God.
Yeah. And then, speaking in the code languages that they made up that I forgot they taught me, know, and it was just really nice to like reconnect with them. And my aunt is more like us in the sense like she likes being spontaneous.
Yeah, she's wild.
She likes having a good time. She would much rather like go for something fun versus like over planning something. And I feel like my parents, they find comfort in and kind of knowing what is
planning
going on.
And procedure
a lot.
She'll be like, pull over, we gotta get this picture, and like let's do this right now. And she's very wild, like in that sense.
And I don't exactly, or like we're just going here now.
We're doing like we're
even if it's like it's $50, she's like we're doing it. But I will say like, and I don't remember if I talked about this last episode when I was dying at the comedy camp out, but one of the really nice things about last week is I met with a good friend of mine. His parents came out. It's his event, and his dad like really helped me with my perspective on life, because his dad came from absolutely nothing and then literally like really made something of himself. But the lesson he kept telling us is like true magic can only happen in the spontaneous. Like if you overly plan something out, it's only going to let you down.
Yes.
And even if it's good, it's so planned out, whereas like the magic can happen when you just say yes to something that shows up. And so that might and he really helped me with my mind, because that is who I am as a person. But because of like
life,
some recent life events and like having to work and these strikes and whatever else, I felt like I've been more strategic about everything.
Yeah, and you've had to pivot. Like, it's a weird thing to like have to pivot your dreams to be like, everyone's and like, put your dreams and whatever. There's a really great quote, and I can't remember who it is, but it's like they always say like, go for your dreams, but they forget that nightmares are dreams too. You know, like,
no, 100%.
You're like, oh, but it's
you gotta
like
get
a true
through
thing
them.
of like, sometimes you go like, I want to go and I want to pursue my dreams. I want to do this, but like you still have to pivot because life is there.
Well,
you know?
yeah, and not even that. Just like, it's hard to be spontaneous because like sometimes spontaneousness takes money, you know? And so when you're like on a budget for a moment because, you know, the actors are going to strike and the writers are striking and there's no work, you're kind of like, well, maybe should I go to Europe? You know, like, should I just run off on this?
I saw this really funny TikTok that was like, a girl's like, here's a lot of places that are in the U.S. because nobody's going to go to Italy or anywhere else this year because that's not how life works. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say though that like meeting my friend's dad and having that really good conversation with him and him talking, he said something so whoa to me. Like, I'm from a good upbringing, you know, like we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. We got, you know, like I got the saxophone, but it was for all of the holidays for like 2 years and I had to mow the lawns, but like I still got it. You know, like I never was afraid growing up. I'm very lucky, but
for sure.
But also it was just very, you know, straightforward. Yeah. And very routine and very like, we had to be safe, you know, because my parents, you know, weren't always guaranteed. And it was good, but it was definitely like your life was planned out. I was in a lot of extracurricular activities, so I couldn't be spontaneous. The only time I was allowed to be spontaneous was on the high school improv team comedy sports.
Wow, there it is.
Yeah, where I won best newcomer.
Good for you. Wow.
And I was the captain. But anyways.
That's going to be the 20-year reunion brag alert. He's going to be like, remember me, guys?
And most likely to be on SNL. That did not happen.
Yeah, hey, guys, it's a shit show there. We got a lot of friends.
I have some friends there. Yeah, I got friends there, though. How about most likely to have a friend get on SNL?
Can do. Success.
Yeah. What my friend's dad kind of said to me is like he was basically had nothing. Like he was basically homeless until he was 18. He had nothing. His parents left. He had to raise himself. And so he's like, I never had fear because I couldn't fail because I was like, you can't get any lower than I was.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was lucky for that. And I was like, you were lucky for that? Because most people are complaining about it. And he's like, I was lucky because now I have no fear. I can do whatever I want.
That perspective is everything.
Yeah. He's like, because tomorrow, if I ended up back there, I know I could survive. I could be fine. And I'm like, that was mind blowing to me. Whereas like, because like, what am I being so cautious about? Like, I have a good life and I'm just trying to like not get like, what am I afraid of? You know, and the risk is where the reward comes, or the spontaneousness is where it comes from, not from just like, gotta be safe.
Well, it's also the journey.
It has to be both. It's a tightrope.
It's a tightrope. And we all understand that, but it's also the journey of like, for me, you know, the weird over planning of everything. It truly like, you know, you just go like, this is good. And then it was good. And it's kind of one of those things of we stayed
in the Airbnb that we stayed with last time because we know it.
It's safe.
Then we went on our favorite tour and we went to our favorite restaurant. Yeah, no, but it was a really nice time. And what I wanted to say is like, my aunt adds a really fresh dynamic to it because it's like, you have you and me who are like, woo! And then you have my sister who's like in the middle. And then you have my parents who are very organized and very planned out.
Down to the minute.
Yeah, which is fine. All of it works great. But it's just not everyone is the same. So some people like when I took my personality test, it's like my personality test wants the spontaneous. My parents took it. Theirs loves to be organized.
It's like violent structure. They need it.
And that's okay.
I was actually thinking, I was like, I'm so surprised that neither of them like were in the military ever.
Right.
Because they like fully are the type of people to like be like really very good and probably would go very far.
Oh yeah,
in the military with orders.
Dude, if you need people, like they're so good at what they do and they're so organized and they get stuff done and it's great and their communication with each other is great. I feel like sometimes we're viewed as lazy or crazy or whatever, but it's people are different, and that's the thing that I needed to understand. Like in therapy, my therapist was like, it's okay, you can be like that. And they can be like that, and accepting that is amazing.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's the journey of like having those different personalities like in the same space together, and also trying to like, it's a whole thing of like there are absolutely more than one way to skin a cat, and they're like
100%.
I've never skinned a cat,
Me
and I'm
assuming there's
one way. One way.
Yeah.
That's a good way, but it really is the truth of it.
Yeah, there's like, many ways of doing.
There's so many
your
ways to get it done.
Your habits are always so different than mine.
Yes.
And I used to tell you that too, because like growing up, my dad was like, "Do it this way. You do it my way, and then when you move out on your own, you can do it whatever way you want." That's what he always said. And when I married you, it's like we do things completely differently, but they both work equally well.
Yeah.
You're 5 feet tall.
Yep.
I'm 6'2".
Yep.
So I'm going high.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I'm like, that works for me. Whereas you're going low, and we just do things different. We see things different. You're like way Tetrasier. I'm way color coordinated. Like we have weird things, but that's part of it. So what I was gonna say is, my aunt added a really nice dynamic to the whole crew because she's more like in us, you know, she's spontaneous. And so it kind of gave it this like, we're all here together. Yeah. It's not just, you know, my sister in the middle. It was just kind of like, and we had a really nice time. And I think also what I have learned is like, from the personality test is like people like my parents, they do like to be taken care of, and they don't want to be just like the only ones doing stuff.
They need to know everything about what's going on, which can get in the way sometimes when you're like, we've already answered all 17 of these questions.
But what color is the Uber? You're like, what brand of car is it? Is it Toyota Sienna?
When we climb in the Toyota Sienna,
is that big enough? Did you do a head count?
Yes, of course we did.
We are really good at traveling, and we're good at camping, and in a way we like pre-planned in our own way, but we've just done it so many times we kind of know how to do these things. Whereas they haven't traveled as much yet, so it is more nerve-wracking because it's sometimes the first time. So I just tried to make it as easy as possible. You know, it's like when they're like, we're hungry, it's like, I just ordered the food, you know, like no questions asked. And they're like, that was what? Now that's called Thai food? Wow. You know, and they're like, what was the curry was good, you know? And so nailed it. When we were driving places, I just drove the whole time, you know, and because I didn't want them to be overwhelmed by like new Chicago traffic. And so you could tell they like really appreciated it because the apps confuse them. How do I get on the subway? I'm like, just follow me, get on this. It's a funny
thing too, like, and I've experienced it with like my own family as you get older. And I think a lot of people relate to it, where like that weird, like, moment where like your lives kind of line up, where it's like, oh, you are capable, if not more capable than them at certain things. And so always the weird like, wow, that was really, wow, good job. And you're like, I've done this 1,000 times.
And even like I set my sister's car up last time I was out there with like, I bought her like a phone holder because she was like holding it in her neck while she was driving
in Chicago,
like a 90s rom-com film, you know, like messing. And like, so I set her up with that and like a radio Bluetooth thing. And my dad saw it and he's like, wow, this is a nice setup. And I was like, oh yeah, I was here and I did that for her. And he's like, you did that for your sister? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, he was so proud. He was just like, wow, that's so nice of you. And those were the nice moments, is finally like, we're all kind of trusting each other. We took really good care of them by like taking care of all the things that could provide stress, which really helped out. So I had a great time. And it was awesome that my aunt was there. It was so nice to rekindle, like, because she was a big part in my life, and now it's like you only see them at holidays. So it was really nice to like spend time with her, laugh, like, remember. Individual. Yeah, exactly. And you know, it was just, that part was really, really nice. I'm trying to think of the other funny like things that happened that were just,
I even insane. Had like a tiny moment where, and I've realized this, like my like fondue of myself was like, we went to a beer festival and I was like violently overstimulated. Like I was like, not only was it like the weird tiny excuses are like, I wasn't sleeping well in an Airbnb because you weren't either. Because I think both of us had a moment where we're like, rooms need windows. Like this room doesn't have a window, and I felt like very like, even though it was a fine sized room, I truly was like, without a window, I was like, I feel like a prisoner.
There was no window.
Like I kind of panicked a little bit.
And also then, like that pillow, that was my only Cayman Bear. The first night the pillows were made out of like sawdust. They were so painful and weird.
Someone put sawdust in a bag and was like, cool,
and
just
then like
throw
hardened it or something. It was like
molten lead.
It was horrible. So then I throw the pillows on the ground. I find some extra pillows. But they look the same. Sure. The second night, I sleep actually really good because the new pillow did it. And then I guess I threw all this stuff on the ground. And then the next 2 nights, the old sawdust pillow somehow like creeped its way back in.
Let me back in.
Yeah. And then
I want to ruin your night.
The last morning when I didn't sleep well on my birthday or the night after, I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, I think this is the sawdust pillow. And I switched them out and I fell asleep instantly. I'm like, freaking sawdust pillow.
This guy. I mean,
get out of here.
I was like, I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm going to burn this pillow for you, Airbnb. Yeah. I will say, and I know that like, you know, dudes don't necessarily get it, but I was on my period on this trip. Yeah. And if you don't want period top, skip ahead about 4 minutes.
That also sucks too. Like me dying in the bathroom. Like you're with your in-laws.
Yeah.
There's one bathroom for 5 or 6 people.
And it was a very unexpected one. Like it was like, hi, I'm sneaky and I'm early. And I was like, cool, tight, you know, bitch. Yeah. But I will say like there's a tiny weird little, someday I'll write a novel that everyone's already read and had as a woman. But it's like the weird like thieving of joy that the period does for you is such like it's some bullshit, man. Yeah. Of like, just like, hey, you were looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. But instead you're going to have like a migraine for 4 days. Yeah. Your body's going to feel like it's in absolute agony. And like, not to be, but like everything is a little bit more irritating just because you're like in pain. You're just in pain and it sucks. And it's like you're ravenously hungry or you're like not hungry at all. Yeah. And so it's a weird thing. And I don't, you know, it's like tough to also like impart to people because I know not everyone has that experience.
Yeah,
like
I've never had it.
I know you've never had it, but also
I've been hungover once a month.
Exactly. So there you go.
Yeah.
But like for 4 days.
But you're like, you did that to yourself.
That's on you. But it's also the journey of like some women also don't experience that. They're like, I'm not bad. Like my periods aren't bad. And you're like, cool. Mine feel like I'm dying. I used to be prescribed liquid morphine for my period
you have endometriosis.
Yes. And so it's like, it's super painful. So that was like the weird like thieving of joy moments where I was like, this stuff is such bullshit just because it truly does like thieve all this fun stuff from you because it's just like, hey, sorry, in spite of this, you're still going to have to like live and exist in this space and also pretend to be okay with things that are like agony. Yeah. So there was like one time where we were at a beer festival and it was like my weird ick is live music. I love live music.
What are you talking about? They had 4 euphoniums playing the Pokemon theme song. That was amazing.
That was actually fine. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to sound like an asshole and I'm okay to sound like an asshole in this moment. Just know that I'm going to. So I'm prefacing it. But there was live music and someone was like, they were doing covers of songs and someone was like 2 to 3 notes flat or sharp the entire time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my weird little music brain was like, I can't fix
well you this. Have perfect relative pitch.
I do have perfect, and that's not, again, that also sounds so like
no it's not perfect pitch, no you don't have perfect pitch, but you have perfect relative pitch where like if I sing a note you can't say it's an A, but you can tell it's in tune. Yes. And you can tell
I grew up singing. I grew up like all those things.
And you do. I've seen your ear.
Music theory for years.
You can because I did all that stuff too, but I don't have it. Sure, like I can tell if it's in tune with the other instruments or with itself, but I have good ear for that. But yours is incredible. Like that.
Yeah, I can do that. And so
like someone just starts singing, you'll match them and then harmonize with them live.
That's my weird party trick is that like no matter what I can harmonize. Yeah. No matter what I can harmonize with anything.
I mean, they know. They've seen all. You made everyone when you did karaoke. It was only good because you're adding in the harmonies.
So, but it's fun. But so if you're like. Already it's like loud, crowded space, which I'm already like, I'm a little bit like, you know.
It's nails on a chalkboard.
And then, so the weird like music of like doing like Six Inches on the Return and being like, kiss me. And I'm like,
out on the moonlit skyline.
I can't kiss you. No, dude. I'm going to die.
There was a girl named Cecilia that was in band with me and actually had perfect pitch to where like, they hear it.
It's a curse.
It is a curse because it's so sad. But she was very sweet, very soft spoken. Yeah. She wouldn't ever correct you. She wouldn't say you're out of tune in band. Like, but she knew, and you always knew she knew. And kids made fun of her. They'd like slam a locker and be like, "What note is that?" And she's like, "G sharp." You know, like. But we'd have to go to the elementary school and junior high bands, and I would catch her literally walking outside and crying because it hurt her ears so bad and she didn't want the kids to see.
This is something I learned about myself on this thing of like, if it's like, every now and then, yeah, you're going to be flat. You're going to be sharp. Like, you're in a loud area. Yeah. There's like reverb. There's like so much stuff that you have to take into context.
Yeah.
It's already like a loud environment. Of course, like that. Who hasn't? I've done it where I've been flat or sharp. You get it.
Sure.
But it was like song 4. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. I literally just like thought to myself, I was like, I can't. If I have to. Also, it's like songs that you love. So it's like, you know, still the one I run to. And I'm like,
See, that's me with storytelling. Like, I have like perfect relative pitch with storytelling. So if Uncle Dale is up there like saying something that's borderline racist,
too.
He's like, never having any punchlines.
Yes.
He's almost like
it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's
I'm like, I gotta go.
Your story is flat. Your story is sharp.
Yeah.
That's exactly
it. Too much. It's too much.
Too racist.
Yeah.
And it's too boring.
You focused way too long on that bit, and that borderline creepy.
Yeah.
But
that is exactly it. Is like, so I was like, we're hour 2 at this thing, and I'm just listening to like Shania be obliterated, or again, people I love, just being like cats in an alley, and I was like,
the Killers.
Mr. Brightside.
That's just the price. I was like,
and so again,
it's the price I'm paying, but I paid to get in here.
There's no tea, no shade. There's a million ways of why that could be it. Like,
it just caused you.
But I realized that I was like, I'm already in this like weird sensitive place. I already like have like a tiny baby headache and all this, and so my weird like thing was like, I'm gonna advocate for myself.
Yep.
And I have to go.
I think, and my therapist would say this too, but like I like my instincts, the way I was trained is like, no, you sit there because it's polite and you stay with the group.
Yeah.
But why?
Why?
Especially if you're in a horrible mood, like, because we all get in bad moods, whether it's hanger or whatever.
Totally.
Would you rather me sit there and shit on all of your stories and just be mad?
Like, miserable? Like, there's nothing good about being miserable.
When I go on my walks and I'm having a better time, and I'm sure you're having a better time. And same with like when you left, I was like, yeah, she's good. And then I literally just looked around. I'm like, she's good. She just went on a walk, and everyone's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so that's when
I had a great time on I like literally was like, I'm going to advocate for myself, and I'm just going to go because I can't listen to
And
Shania
we did that too. We advocated, and we went on our own for one of the days. And I think that's really important. And I don't know why we're all ingrained sometimes to be like, the group has to stick together.
It's like a weird polite thing. But as we get older, like I will say that is my like fondue of it is like, as you get older, learning to be like, hey, not in a mean way, not in anything. It's like, I'm bored out of my mind, or I'm tired, or I'm this. I would like to leave the situation. And again, no one's fault. No one's anything.
I mean, even with us, it's like I go off and do things. I go hang out with other people, or whatever. It's like if you're with... Unless you're one of those creepy identical twins or something. If you're with someone...
identical twins aren't that bad.
No, but they're creepy. They're not bad. Twin. I said they're just creepy because like
identical twins aren't that creepy.
Yes, they are. The idea of an identical twin is creepy. Not in a scary way, but like, think about it. They look exactly the same. They have the same intuitions. They can hear each other in their heads.
Some people would say that's really cool. I think it's really cool.
It is cool, but when you think about it, it's not normal. It's weird, but it's awesome.
You're a monster.
No, it's not bad. It's just like it's a phenomenon.
Sure.
It's super powers for sure, and it's the only thing that it's like constantly proven.
It's a phenom. What is it?
It's like superpower. It's a superpower. It's like it's a phenomena. It's not. Yeah, phenomena. Yeah, phenomena. But phenomena. But yeah, like your mom and her sister. They will laugh.
My mother's a twin.
An identical twin.
Yeah.
And they can do that weird switcheroo thing where they like...
Yeah, they like read each other's brains.
And they read their brains.
They have their own weird language. They like dream about each other, and it's like reality.
I think those are the only people that are like, because they shared a womb together, that are comfortable being with each other like 24/7. Those are the only people. But anyone else, like... To be with someone 24/7 for a long period of time is just not healthy. Yeah. Like we need to have...
We gotta branch out, baby.
So it was really nice to like finally be in a situation where everyone was fine with everyone doing what they wanted, and we had some really good quality time, and some like really good bonding.
That like that's more than okay. Like we've done it recently where it's like just the weird like... I mean, in every aspect, I think it is of just like advocating for yourself and being like, hey, I don't want to do this, and then being like, okay, and we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, I'm going to go take a walk in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because I can't listen to any more Shania.
Yeah. And also, like, you could start to see that, like, some of the my parents especially were starting to see the benefits of some of the spontaneity because, like, what ended up happening is we're going to go to Disneyland tomorrow, actually. And with my cousin and her new baby and some other people, and her wife works for Pixar, so she was able to get a bunch of free tickets for us. So
Love
they had one extra free ticket.
It's the only way to go to Disney. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a right tit to get into the park.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, how much
I gave you my right tit last year.
Yeah, no, the left one's not good.
We're not doing lefts this year.
Very normal.
Yeah. But so she got us this deal, and then she's like, hey, there's one more ticket. Do you want to offer it to one of your friends? I reached out to one of my friends. She was like, thanks for the offer, but no. And then my sister was like, and we're in Chicago, and she's like, I haven't been to Disneyland. I want to go to Disneyland. And I just like lit up, and I'm like, dude,
let's
come to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And then like everyone was like, wait, what? And then Rachel's like, I'm down. And that's my sister. She's like, I'm down. And then you could see my parents are like, let's make this happen.
Yeah.
And I literally booked her a flight that night. She got a one-way ticket and she came out with us.
Using points too.
Using points. So it was like nothing.
Yeah.
And because they book way far in advance, but before it was the night before. And it was just great. Like she's out here. She surprised my cousin. My cousin was like crying and we were able to do that. And that was as spontaneous. Like she had no idea she was coming out. She just graduated. She doesn't have a job yet. So it's the perfect time. It all landed. It's going to be magic. I helped her come out here and
just like proving that like
the spontaneity can be
amazing and great.
And then
wonderful.
again, like I covered how to get out the Uber out of LAX so my parents didn't have to stress, and they were very like, we're doing it. And I'm like, both of them work. We can have a fun time too.
But like I was saying, it's like such a fun little time in your life when like you realize that like you're like it's not about like someone taking care of someone else. It's like about like, hey, we're like on the same path and like here's different ways of doing it, you know, positively. And it's fun to like provide that for your parents who provided a lot for you.
Exactly. So that's my fondue, is that I rekindled the relationship with my aunt that I haven't had in a long time.
That's very nice.
Learned a lot of fun stories about my mom and her growing up that I haven't heard in a long time. You got to bond with her, and we all just had a good time and respect each other's boundaries. No one got sick. My body didn't turn on me, and
my body turned on me, but she does it every month. So she should be cursed, and that's fine.
Yeah, but it was a great time, and now my sister's out here, and we're gonna have a good time. So I was just fondue with the trip. The only note would be that sawdust pillow, but you know that's my bad. I should have thrown it out night one.
There's 2 airport stories that are my weird camemberts. Yeah. Tiny little camemberts of like, we got on the plane and we're very like, we travel all the time. So that's not to brag. That's just to be like, there are certain weird like etiquettes that happen on planes that you're like, hey, we can't do that. Yeah. And we got on the plane and we like sat down immediately, and the man next to us. I don't know where he got his burrito, but it was clearly made of farts.
Yeah, it was like the most insane, it was stinky,
like B.O. burrito. Yes, and like I was like kind of amazed by him because I wanted to know his life.
We're still on the tarmac. No one is left. People are filling in. It's it's not the time to be eating a messy burrito. No,
and it's also like it's wild still. It's still like everyone's like putting stuff above you still, and everyone's like climbing in, doing all this stuff, and he's jamming the world's messiest, stinkiest burrito, slamming it in his face.
Yeah. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, I got to put my thing up here, and he's just like,
and we're like,
smashing it down.
It down. There's also like weird etiquette things, and like I know people talk about on the subways, they talk about man spreading a lot and like weird things like that, but I feel like as the middle seat, and I know this is maybe a hot debate, so I'd love to open it up to the internet and the world that it exists within ours, but if you're in the middle seat, I feel like you should get a little bit of both armrests because what else are you supposed to do? Yeah. So like even just like if you want one or if you want the other, this guy just was like not even an option. He was like, these are mine, these are my armrests.
Yeah, but he was out of his mind. Like literally the stewardess was like, put your thing in airplane mode and put your thing away, and he just didn't
presses
even
play on a movie.
Yeah,
he's like, screw you.
Yeah.
I'm doing
and
it.
She's like, what? And like he did not care about.
He was wild.
Or he just didn't speak any English.
No,
maybe.
he absolutely did. No, that's not.
Okay, well then, he was acting.
I talked to him.
He was acting like he didn't know.
No, he knew everything.
Then that's even more aggressive.
That's what I'm saying. This guy was wild. He was feral. He didn't give a shit. He was a rogue warrior.
Yeah.
I brought a chip because this was also. So he had his BO burrito.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is the stinkiest burrito that I've ever in my life. Like it was like
intense.
Onions, farts, and body odor.
Yeah.
And I was like, good on you for being able to eat that. Because I don't know if I would be able to even
airport burrito.
But like hammer slamming it into his mouth. Like kind of also like I wish you could, but like fingers in the mouth to like get it all in there.
It was gross. Like, it was exactly how not to eat a burrito. It's like if you were trying to be funny. Yeah. Like how, like that.
Yes, if it was like a bit.
Yeah, like a child eating a burrito.
Or like a Klingon. You know, like fully
someone who's never used his fingers before.
someone who just got new hands.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take these out for a spin. Oh, they're in my mouth now.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to have to back up a bit.
Yeah.
But then he had all these chips.
Yeah.
And he literally, I'm going to do it because this is a podcast. It was this.
And just so loud.
Loudest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, he was like mashing dry chips in his mouth, and it was so loud.
He kept like shoveling them in his mouth, and I had so many questions.
Oh yeah.
I know I probably have very neurodivergent tendencies when it comes to sound, but like truly that was one of those where he would like take the corner of each chip and fully shove it in his mouth and then like slowly bite down on the chip, and I was like, he also have to know your story.
Well, yeah, and he also sat every time he would get up, he wouldn't just sit in the chair, he would fall into it and slam back. And I was like, what are you doing? And my aunt is behind him, and my aunt is a Viking who is like 6'1".
Yeah.
And literally like, okay, sir. He's like hitting.
I don't know
just
what
like
his story
slamming
was.
It back. It was insane.
I don't know if he was like, I'm going to Chicago to die, this is my last hurrah, or what it was, but I was very impressed by his I want to say joie de vivre.
No, but it was just no fucks given.
Absolute no fucks given.
Yeah.
Absolute even the weird, you know what? It's entirely possible that it was an alien in a man's body.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because of the way he was. Like definitely. It was kind of like in Men in Black when like Vincent D'Onofrio comes back in and sugar in water.
Water my skin. That was too tight.
Because even when he they were like, what do you want to drink? And he was like, ginger ale. And they were like, okay. And then he like power slot.
He shotgunned it.
Everything. I didn't know what he was going to do next the entire time. The entire time I was like, this guy could literally pull out a bag of rocks and just start counting them or whatever. He was absolutely feral, and I was like, oh, this is the airport journey. Like whenever they talk about simulation stuff, they're like, one of my favorite things is like being like, okay, why are these 200 people going to Chicago on a Thursday at this time? Like, are they all real? If this is a simulation, one of the simulation creators is like, I'm going to fuck with him and I'm going to put this crazy guy next to him.
It definitely was a simulation because there was also like that guy that was like an old prospector.
Yes.
Like he had a full on old prospector outfit.
This is what I'm saying.
He kept like asking the weirdest like the metal bird.
The metal bird,
was connected to the...
You're right. That nothing says we live in a simulation more than going on an airplane with like 200 other people again at 8:40 a.m. on a Thursday. Like, why are you all doing this?
And it was bad acting because like the couple behind us had a baby, and the baby was fine. It didn't cry, and even if it does, I get it. But it just smelled like
baby poop.
Yeah, and then the guy and the mom, he was literally like, she's like, why didn't you bring any diapers? And he's like, why would I bring diapers? And I'm just like, wait a minute. Are these real parents or these actors? It's a baby. What do you mean?
Clearly like a 10-month-old baby. She's standing. She's doing everything. And I'm like, my guy. And she was like, why didn't you bring any diapers? She's like, why would I bring any diapers? The flight's only 4 hours. She's like, because they need diapers. And both Delman and I are like, oh my God. But this is what I'm saying. Like the simulation journey is... I've never thought about it being a possibility until sitting by this absolutely feral human being man that was like hammer slamming his BO burrito, slamming back into his chair, and then at any different time he kept like also pulling the weirdest things out of his bag.
Yeah.
There's a prospector to the left.
Yeah, who keeps calling it a metal bird.
Yes.
And he like doesn't even have a phone. They're like, "Sir, can you pull up your boarding pass?" And he's like, "No, where will I find this boarding pass?"
And then like he has a paper boarding pass. And we're all like, okay, of course you do.
And they're like, "Do you have an ID?" He's like, "I have a witness who knows."
You're like, what is happening? It was truly one of those where I was like, oh, okay, this is the airport stories are batshit crazy. I love them. There's also on her way home, I have to just say this one. A woman had obviously gone straight to Illinois for a very high-end puppy. I have my qualms about that to begin with. You know I do. This is a
purebred puppy.
It was a purebred dachshund puppy or Dachshund, however you want to say it.
Calico-y looks.
But that's a purebred. It's like a specific type of it.
I thought they all just looked like...
No, it's like a very like... He was like a designer dog. He had perfect little Oreo spots on him.
He was designed in Photoshop.
So cute.
She chose where the spots
She 100% chose this dog and like on the internet and paid thousands upon thousands of dollars for this dog. And she like was like going to get him and bring him back. That's what she even said she was doing. But she was a very just like normal, like just like, yes, this is the dog that I'm getting. And he was the cutest dog I think I might have ever seen on the planet.
Nuts for this dog.
And I was like, what's his name? And she was like, Luke.
Like Skywalker? She's like, I don't know.
No, I thought that was like Star Wars name. She's like, Luke. And I was like, oh,
Perry?
Like, I was like, all right. I was like,
just
cute
Luke?
name. She's like, isn't that a cute name? And I was like, yeah.
I guess.
But it's just like Luke. Yeah. I'm like, Dale. Yeah. And you're like, oh, for a dog. Because like
Mark.
Peanut.
It's Mark.
Spots.
Yeah.
You know, like Speckles.
But not
or
even
whatever.
a funny name. Like we met the lady across the street has a pug named Deb. You're like,
Love
perfect.
It. Perfect. Deb the pug.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I wanted Mike. No. Mike works too, but like Luke.
Yeah. And I was like, oh.
Any story behind that?
And she's like, I thought it was a really cute name. And I'm like, Luke?
Yeah, because our neighbors have Luke and Leia, but okay, makes sense. We got it.
Yeah. Those are
Star Wars.
Two
dogs, yeah.
No, she just liked Luke. Yeah, and I was like, that's well, a weird one. I just want to know that. I'm just letting you know that you ruined this dog's chances.
The other thing that like was so weird was these guys were flying back to LA and they were decked out in like drip. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, it's drip, baby.
They had brands. I'm not saying they were brands I would wear, but they were brands, big brands. Recognize Louis Vuitton luggage. I-style jewelry. That one like nail thing that's made out of gold that you wear as a bracelet.
That's a Cartier bracelet.
Is that a Cartier?
That's
the
a
nail
Cartier
one.
Bracelet,
okay,
yeah.
I'm not as much up on the jewelry, but yeah,
sure,
like they're decked out with all sorts of diamonds and whatever. So I don't do the jewelry as much as I do the watches. So I know the watches.
Yeah.
One of the fools is wearing like a solid gold Rolex Presidential. And
I don't know anything about that, but I'm assuming that's a big deal.
And it's like decked in diamond. Well, it's expensive. It's a very expensive watch. I was guessing that the one he had on would probably be around like 30 grand. Okay. The one he was wearing.
Yeah.
And then his friend had a freaking Patek Philippe Nautilus, which is iced out, which when I was looking them up online, it would have to be anywhere from $400,000 to $800,000.
I would never. This is a simulation.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, so either these are fake watches, and fake drip,
sure,
and they're just putting on a front.
Love it. Totally or
they wore this stuff to an airport.
Yeah, I could never.
Where you have to like, I'm like, so he took off his $1 million watch
you took off
and put it in a tray and was just like, and then took off.
Bye, tiny home in Ohio.
And then took off his like whatever shoes and like, I'm just like, but also why? Like,
sure.
Why? Sure. You know, like I travel, I brought a watch.
It's truly, I think it's programmers that are trying to figure out. Like, they're working on new characters, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to put it in the airport.
Let's just see what happens.
I'm going to put him in the airport. I'm going to put out my iced out, blinged out guy. I'm going to put out my feral, like, burrito eater.
And the time traveler.
And the time traveler. Yeah.
And I'm going to see if anyone...
I'm going to just see if anyone notices and see what the qualms are, and then
but it was just you and me. Like, it was just you and me being like, are we the crazy ones here? Because that's...
You all seeing this prospector guy? In the simulation, The pies at Bang Bang Pie in Chicago.
Bang Bang.
Man, I'd kiss that baker on the mouth.
Yeah, they were good pies. Get the hamburger biscuit.
For me,
chicken pot pie.
You know me.
Strawberry rhubarb.
When I look at desserts, my number one dessert is always a donut. And I know that people don't classify it as a dessert, but technically it is. But if donuts have to be off the list, pie. Pie number one. Yep. Pie's been number one. It goes pie, cookies, then cake, kind of. Yep. Ice cream's at the bottom of the barrel, baby. Yep. That shit is trash.
I mean, sorry, who doesn't like ice cream? But it is. It's going to tear you apart sometimes.
I'm going to be a fart monster, baby. Yep. But I'm just saying, pies. If you're ever in Chicago and you're specifically near Bang Bang Pie, and that's where you go and you get it all.
I think we should come out with we've been talking and people have been reaching out telling us what they want, and a lot of people, they want our recommendations. Sure. So I think we should make a list of our Chicago places, because we found some good food, found some good desserts, some good breweries, some really cool places that even my sister, who's lived there now 6 years, is like, I never even knew this place existed. And you're like, okay. But there's some really cool spots.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm ready to do it. Yeah. Do you think we can dive into melting pot real quick?
Let's dive into some melting pots.
We have one or two.
Yeah, perfect. And then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. We're going to have a great time. Great oldies.
We read all the cool stuff into the few people we bumped into randomly on the streets of Chicago. That was so awesome. Thanks for saying hello. That was so cool.
Yeah. And, that was so nice. Someone said, are you Andrew Delman? Yeah. And then I was like, it was so nice.
That really worked out to my dad. It was like, he was that's my boy. So it was nice. It was great. So thank you.
It was nice to if you see us always in public, just please say hi. We love you so much. And it's nothing more wonderful than being like, oh my God, thank you so much for loving it. We love you and we do it for you and we love you. Yeah. And that makes me so happy. I got a nice little message from someone named Nicholas, and they were lovely and wonderful. And we're like, thank you, and we love it. And I was like,
I got a message from someone who's coming out with a cheese book, and they think that we're no, but they didn't realize that this was a comedy podcast, and they're like, Durgal Birchness is coming out with her cheese table book. It's like, would you like us to send you a copy of it?
I fucking want that copy of that book.
She's known at Williams Sonoma, and I'm like, they have no clue. They just found this, and they're like
they love cheese. Yeah. Okay, I will say it might be a little premature, but my favorite cheese of the week, I'm going to say it.
Get in there.
We went to a brewery, Half Acre Brewery in Chicago, very also tasty. On the list. Yeah. They had cheese curds.
Oh, yeah.
Deep fried cheese curds.
Yeah. Baby mozzarella sticks, basically.
Basically baby mozzarella sticks.
So
and then
good.
You dip it in something good.
Some sort of mayo slamper.
Sort of cheese slamp.
Yeah.
And my God, I was like, so this is it. I would eat 1,000 of them.
Yep.
They were so delicious. I'd never had deep fried cheese curds before.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
They're so good.
Well, duh. Now I have. And I just want to say they're added to my list of...
Cheese curds are your cheese of the week.
That's my cheese. I don't know if that counts, but I think it should,
it's
right?
Great, yeah.
This is a pretty decent one.
Yeah.
What's your childhood obsession? Example, Pokemon, Beanie Babies, etc.
Ooh. Well, it's hard because I tend to... get obsessed with a lot of things.
You still hyperfixate on a lot of things.
So it just depends on at what time period in my life.
I
can tell you in order.
Why? Oh, you should. If you think you can do it quickly, I really think you should.
I had a big skateboarding phase, and specifically,
that feels like a little too old. You got to go younger, I think. 3-year-old Delman, what's he into?
3-year-old Delman doesn't really know.
4-year-old Delman, what was he into?
I was into climbing on chairs, but
hell yeah, boom, obsessed.
Until I fell off that chair. That was pretty scary.
Sure. Okay.
Then, I was a fine kid, but nothing really crazy until 7. Isn't that when you start to have your own opinion? You're allowed to have your own opinions.
You had a Dick Tracy watch.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah,
that was a pretty big obsession, and I only know this because you've told me a bunch of times about this.
And there's
Tracy.
a family picture where I'm just like, well, I used to think it was so cool that it had a light on it.
Yeah, it's like a little Dick Tracy watch.
I love Dick Tracy watches. Yeah,
you like Dick Tracy?
I like Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Beanie Babies?
Yeah, Disney movies, Beanie Babies. Well, the Beanie Babies, I think we were a little older, but we had some good ones. I still got a Princess Diana in the attic.
Okay, no one is going to sell that one. You don't have a Princess Diana.
I do. It's in a case.
For a down payment on a home.
Well, the problem here is my sister's going to argue that it's hers as well.
You got to split it up, cut it in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Sell it and then just.
But we were the ones that had the tag protectors. But we went to.
Oh my God.
My mom likes a treasure hunt too. So when McDonald's was coming out with the Beanie Babies, we got all 10 of them, and we went all over.
You said that you went like all over.
We would just go and be like, "Do you got the platypus Beanie Baby? Do you got it or not?"
And they'd be like, "No, please stop." Yeah. Please. Everyone keeps asking us
Beanie Babies was good. Went through a Digimon phase. Okay. Went through a Pokemon phase, but not the cards, the video games, the Game Boy games, and the cartoon.
Naturally.
Went through a Street Sharks phase. Those were really cool.
No idea what that was.
G.I. Joe phase.
Oh, that's a huge one. Yeah.
Until I lost my guy, and that was heartbreaking. He fell out of the window. My parents wouldn't turn around, so that was that for that.
It was a pretty deep-rooted trauma, too, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you're 36 years old now, and you're remembering it.
I went through a Michael Jackson phase. That was my parents' least favorite phase, because I was very young. And my dad took me to his tax appointment.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy had like a TV and he puts it out. And I had turned on MTV for the first time. And Michael Jackson was doing the moonwalk. And it was, maybe the guy just put in a Michael Jackson concert DVD.
Probably that.
I loved it so much that I would go into the mall and I'd grab my crotch and go, how? And spin around. And my parents had to like explain to strangers, like, he just found out who
Michael Jackson is.
I was so embarrassing to them that I was grabbing my crotch all the time. I loved Michael Jackson.
You had a little red leather jacket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Went through a Michael Jackson phase, went through an Elvis phase.
I
like the King of Pop and the King of Rock, apparently.
Yeah. You went through a really big one that you're missing.
Which one?
You went through a really big Free Willy phase.
Free Willy, but that was like, I was older. Yeah, because I was like...
How much older were you during your Free Willy phase?
Well, when did Free Willy come out? I was playing tetherball, I can remember, because I had the necklace, because I got this special Free Willy VHS for my birthday that came with the same necklace that Jesse got to wear that was carved out of ivory that Randolph gave him. And so like I'd go play tetherball, and we weren't allowed to do ropies, but before I would play, I would grab the necklace and I go, Shanana. Which is
prepping yourself for your tetherball game.
Yeah, and I would win, probably because of the big hands.
Well, but yeah, I don't think it was your necklace that was helping you win.
Who knows though? But I did love Free Willy. Indian in the Cupboard a little bit, Fox and the Hound.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, these were movies, but it's like, these are things.
No, I mean, I was of that same mindset where like I would watch a movie and I'd be like, this will define me. Yeah. And so I get that. Yeah. I was in those phases.
I mean, I wanted a connection with an animal that I wasn't getting.
Yeah, that's tough.
I wanted either a killer whale or like Andre, like a seal. Like,
I'm so sorry.
I mean, I have Frank now, so it kind of works, tracks. But it's not as exotic, you know. It's just like she's not a seal. She looks like one though. But
I'm really sorry you never got a killer whale.
I went through a Rubik's Cube phase.
Okay, that tracks.
Where that actually... kind of that obsession became because I had finally gotten in. It was high school at that point. I'd gotten into girls and I was actually like flirting with them. But the problem was, it's like I would put in.
You were doing it through Rubik's Cube?
No. I had to
Your flirting game?
No. The Rubik's Cube is what. So long story short, I started flirting with this girl.
Sure.
And it was too much attention. And she was like, "Hey, dude, like, I like you, but like, take a chill. Like, you're nonstop texting, like, go get involved in something else." So this kid Taylor Horowitz was sitting next to me and he's jamming on this Rubik's Cube. And I'm like, dude, if Taylor Horowitz can figure this out, I can figure this out.
Yeah, sick.
And I didn't want to watch any demos, so I wanted to figure it out by myself. And then the girl was like, "Hey, what happened? Like, you stopped texting me." I'm like, "Yo,
I found a Rubik's Cube, you dumb bitch.
You idiot. I'm trying to solve it on my own."
Listen, you don't get my attention.
So then I got really into that, and I can still solve one in under 2 minutes.
Look, I was really guilty of. I had an older brother who I like love and adore, and so whatever phase he was going through, I was also tagging along that phase.
Oh yeah.
I had a hard Cabbage Patch phase, and I really was obsessed. I had one because we weren't like wealthy by any means, but it was like I had one, and she was like the light of my life. Lived and breathed for Cabbage Patches. Loved it. Other phases were like pogs.
Oh yeah.
I had a massive
I went through a pog phase. Yeah, I had a poison slammer.
Literally like that was a defining moment for me. Was like pogs, slammers, collecting them.
Same.
Loved it.
Wasn't playing them, but I was collecting them.
Yeah, and I think I'm still chasing that high of like getting a new pog sleeve and stuff like that. Like that.
I still have my pogs. It's next to the Beanie Babies.
Yeah, we should make an outfit out of it.
I'm gonna give them to my children.
They're like,
this is my poison slammer. What are you talking about?
Hold on.
Yeah.
These do not suck.
Yeah.
No, I had like the phase, but then my brother would be very, very, very hyper fixative on like movies. So like we saw Three Ninjas.
Oh yeah.
But then we like joined karate class, and both of us were horrible at it. But we like needed to be doing karate. And then he was like, for some weird reason, he really was into Chariots of Fire, the movie about running.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
that's
so
weird.
then he like was like, we're running now, and I was like, got it, we're running now, can do. And so it was like such a weird phases that I was always very attached to his weird phases. The only other one that I was like mildly obsessed with was like Now and Then was like a real definitive thing for me. Yeah, the movie. Okay, it was like a real like girl group thing I was obsessed with. And then Jumanji.
Oh yeah, I like.
And
Jumanji.
I like had a weird. I had a sweater that looked kind of like Kirsten Dunst's sweater in that.
Oh, cool.
And I wore that sweater every single day of my life, to the point where my family had to like intervene and be like, we got to take this sweater off because you stink and you're gross and you also can't wear this sweater every day. Yeah. People are thinking that we're not like giving you clothes. Yeah. And I was like, screw you. Yeah. I'm Kirsten Dunst in this movie. And then I got really into like George Orwell's Animal Farm.
Oh yeah, got into that.
Which is so weird for like a child to be like into Animal Farm, and then I was like collecting stuffed animals that all had the names of the Animal Farm characters, but like weird. It's super weird because and dark and insane.
The animals turn on.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm aware.
The pigs,
but like
especially.
That was what, and I'm sure it was probably maybe a little bit concerning to my parents. So it was like, God, she's playing Animal Farm again. Should we be concerned? Yeah. But I literally was like, yes, I'm getting a stuffed animal for every one of these animals on Animal Farm.
I went through a chess phase.
Yeah, I mean that's okay, great. But like again, mine were like very weird. Yeah. I always was in like to animals and animal themed things. So like Watership Down, Animal Farm. I was obsessed. I had stuffed animal collections of them. I would have loved to have had like a normal G.I. Joe phase or like anything else like, but no, that was my deep obsession, was attaching very dark animal themed allegorical books to my stuffed animals. Oh, this is solid. If you could be a flower, what would you be and why?
Wow. I feel like I'd probably
Didn't know this was going to be the
one. I mean, that's such a question. I'm going through all the flowers. Like, which ones do I like the best? Which one do I think I would be?
Which one speaks to you the most?
There's two that are speaking to me.
Let's hear it.
The tulip.
That's because of your Dutch heritage.
Well, like the Frisian heritage, as well as some other stuff, is a tulip. And also, I like the idea that it's a bulb and it can come back. Like, it's not just like a one-time thing.
This guy's a perennial, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be a perennial so I can live on forever. But then what I'm really feeling is the sunflower. California.
Wow.
I got this kind of big.
Yes.
But I feel like they don't live that long. Like, they're majestic.
No, they come back.
I think I know.
They're really prolific in the sense that they always like spit their seeds out and then tons of them come back.
I know what I want. I know. I got it.
Can I hear it?
Yep. We had a lot of these where I grew up. Okay. I always thought they were so cool.
All right, let's hear it.
So cool.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And they come around a lot.
Yeah.
Bird of paradise.
You know what? You look like a bird of paradise.
I felt like one.
Yeah?
I always did. I felt like it had a nose and like a thing. And
that's
like,
you, baby.
I always pictured him wearing sunglasses, being like, what's up, man?
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, not no. Yeah, a bird of paradise would totally be a stoner, too.
Yeah, I think
that's a good vibe.
Up, SoCal, drink freaking Cactus Cooler on the
man. Have you guys tried Squirt? A little mezcal in that? You're going to have the time of your life, man.
I'm a bird of paradise.
I love that. I'm a daisy. You? I always have been a daisy. That's just a fact.
That makes sense.
They're like, it's such a sweet little happy flower.
I want someone to draw a picture of us on this couch. I'm a bird of paradise as my head, and you're a daisy head.
That's what it is. Yeah. I know it in my bones. Someone did say, what was your favorite food in Chicago?
I love a Chicago dog. Who doesn't? But it had to have been at this place. Bang, bang. There. And it was surprising because when we were there, like I was trying to, and this is the spontaneous thing coming full circle.
Wow.
I went there, gonna get a chicken pot pie, and you were going to get a ham and biscuit, and they were like, we don't have ham and biscuits. You were sitting down because obviously you were in some pain. And I looked at the girl and I was like, well, what do you suggest? And she said, the hamburger biscuit is amazing. I would have never ordered that in my life. Never. I would have been like, get out of here. Like,
that sounds weird.
Are you talking to me? Don't you ever say that to me again.
She's like, you asked me.
And I ended up getting a shirt because of this meal.
That's hilarious.
No, but I was like, okay, yeah, let's grab that and do this. The hamburger biscuit at Bang Bang was, I don't know what's going on.
Look, I dissected it. Are you ready?
Yeah. It was so good.
A fantastic, I think it was provolone cheese. It was amazingly grilled burger, like smashed wise.
Smash burger.
On a biscuit. It was like sesame seed and buttermilk biscuit.
Yep.
Then they took shredded iceberg lettuce, chopped up dill pickle.
Yep.
They mixed it with mayonnaise, a coarse mustard, obvious pickle juice with slices of tomato.
Yeah.
It was top notch.
It was insane.
I would do it again, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Loved it. They also had a strawberry rhubarb pie.
Yep.
Yeah, man. That
was the best.
That was the best.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I need to be food guided around Chicago more because everyone kept being like, this place has the best food. And LA's really braggalicious on their food scales.
I'm going to just go out on a limb and say LA doesn't have the best food. I'm going to say Chicago does not have the best food. I'm going to say New York has pretty good food. Yeah. It's better than Chicago and LA, in my opinion, New York. But I think that, like, weirdly, like, Oregon had such good food. Like, when we were in Oregon, I was like, what is going on in Oregon? Like, still to this day, best Thai food was in Oregon.
Yeah.
Best, and then Ireland, of all places. Yeah. I really have some of those meals that are in my head from there.
I still think about, I went and filmed with
in
with
Utah.
JK Studios in Utah, and there was an Indian food place in Provo, Utah, and I was like, I've had so much Indian food in Los Angeles, and that in Provo, Utah is the best Indian food I've ever had in my entire life. Look, man, it all depends. You got to get out. You got to explore. That being said,
if you have good places in Chicago or anywhere else, throw them at me. My sister was a student, so she's quite frugal, so she only knows a few places.
I'm ready to go back.
Yeah, I loved.
I'll go back.
We went to Peace Pizza, which very tasty
Top
as well.
notch.
You can get some mashed potatoes on a pizza. A lot of fun.
Really weird.
Yeah, we do. But that's our place. Bang Bang.
Bang Bang. My open question to y'all is, one, when you're in an airport, do you feel like you're in a simulation?
Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening. Stay stinky, and next week we'll probably be talking about Disneyland.
Yeah, who knows, man? Also, Weasel's got a lot to say, so apologies for all of his squeaks.
We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.